This is how you solve a Pyramorphix using the advanced method. It's a pretty simple method, so we're going to do a pretty simple tutorial. This is better than just solving it like a 2x2 because better finger tricks and centers don't have orientation. No need in using a method that actually cares about orientation for the centers. Let's get into it. Two moves that you need to know. First is sledge. You're going to go down on this side, down on this side, up on this side, up on this side. Sledge. Down, down, up, up. Down, down, up, up. Another one is anti-sledge. You're going to go down on this side first. Those are the two moves you need to know. When you get your scramble, the first thing you want to do is make a pair of two tips. That is what a pair looks like. This is also a pair here. There is often a one mover, but sometimes you have to use two movers, like this. That is also a pair. Once you have two tips paired up, you want to make a third tip. Now this third tip can be on either of two sides, because when you make your first one, you have two colors. I could choose to do yellow, or I could choose to do green. If I choose to do yellow, I see my yellow back here, you want to put it in back of the top, and then you can do your basic insertions, like this, to put it in. So again, it's in back, you can insert it like this. If it was facing the other way from back, you would just insert it from the left-hand side. Sometimes your third one will just be a one move insert if it's not on either side. So if it's in the back and it's not on either side, it's pretty easy to see. It just goes in one move like that. But if we chose to do green instead, we'd have a little bit worse of a case because green is not on top like this. We would need to take it out of the back first using a basic insertion. If you want to see that from the back, you do this to take it out. Then once it's here, you can do your normal insertions again. This should get you 3 tips solved. Do not care what is in the middle. Then you're just going to move on to your last tip. For your last tip, there are a series of cases you can get, but they're all pretty easy to solve. When you're doing it, your tip will either be on top, in the middle, or on bottom. I'm going to go through all the cases right now. Case 1 is when your tip is on any of these side faces. You rotate to put that side in front so that you have your 3 on bottom and your last tip in front. Then you look at where the front color is. My front color is blue because of these 2 tips here. If I was over here, my front color would be yellow. Now, because my front color is blue, I'm going to look for where blue is on that tip. If it's on the left, then you know you're going to start with your right side. You always start with the opposite. Because on the right side, you're going to start on the right and do a sledge. A sledge will put that tip on the top. So again, if your front color is on the left, do a sledge. Case number 2. If your tip is in front or on any side, you want to find your front color, and if it is on the right, then you want to start from the left because it's the opposite side. You're going to do anti-sledge. That will put it on top like this. So again, if your front color is on the right of your tip, then you're going to do anti-sledge, and that will put it on top and oriented correctly. Case number 3. This is the case where it's still on the side, and you have your front color is on the top of that tip. That means you're going to do sledge, but you're going to do it 3 times. So again, if your front color is on the top of your last tip, then you're going to do triple sledge like that. Case number 4. You have finished with all the cases where your last tip is on the side. Now we're going to do where it's on the top. There are only 2 cases here. Well, 3 if you count it being solved. So, if you're again going to look at your front color, go to your last tip on top while still holding your first 3 on bottom, and you're going to see where your front color is. If it's on the right, well, you start on your left because you always start on opposite. So you're going to do anti-sledge, but you're going to do it twice. So again, if your front color is on the right, you're going to do double anti-sledge. Case number 5. If your last tip is on top and your front color, which is blue, is on the left, then you're going to start from the other side and do sledge twice. So again, if your last tip has your front color on the left, you're going to do double sledge. Case 6, that's where your last tip is on top and it's solved. You have a skip, you can move on to the next step. The last case is where your tip is on bottom. To do this case, you're just going to rotate so that you have your first 3 on front, and you're going to do a double move to put one of those tips in back. Now you can deal with this tip right here, and you're going to pretend that it is your case where it is on the side again. The only difference is that you're not going to look for the front color, because my front color is green, it's not going to be on here. What you're instead going to look for is your bottom color. So my front is green, on the other side of these two is red. So I'm going to look for my red. So it's right here on the right. If you remember from when it is on the side, you're going to anti-sledge to put it on top, and then you can fix that top. Similarly, if you have your bottom color on the left, bottom color is red, red's on the left, you can just do sledge to put on top and fix your double move. And lastly, if you just have, when you do your double move and your bottom color is on top, you do triple sledge, just like you would if it's on bottom. Undo your double move, and you finish that step. Congratulations, you can now solve all the tips. The last step is knowing how to do these centers, and that's what I'm going to show you next. Now that you can do your tips, I'm going to show you how to permute centers in order of cases from easiest to hardest. This is the first one where your centers are all solved. That's a skip, and you have solved the cube. Your next case is called the 2-2 swap. That is where you'll have what looks like a Z-perm on a 3x3, where you have 2 swapped and 2 swapped. Now, how you're going to solve this is you're going to hold whatever your front color is, you're going to hold its pair, which is the other side with its colors, on the right. So, I have these two that need to be switched, and these two that need to be switched. From here, you're going to lift up here in an R2, then you're going to go down in a B2, and then you're going to come here in a DR2. From there, you're going to do B2 to finish it off. So, what that looks like again, when these two need to be swapped and these two need to be swapped, you're going to do this. Next case. Your next case is called the 4 swap. That's where they're, again, all unsolved, but it doesn't make the nice pattern like you had last time, where it's just 2 pairs of two swaps. Here, you're going to do this where you hold the front color, so it needs to be on bottom. So here, I have green, and I hold it so that in green face is on bottom. So this goes to bottom. You also want to hold it so that the right side center goes to the front. So you want a cycle like this. Doom, doom. If you're holding it like that, then you can do it right. Here's a tip to orient it right. When you orient, say, this right here, so that yellow goes on bottom, but my right color doesn't come over here, you can rotate it around this left tip, like this. That way, it will go down like that. Rotating it around this left tip will always keep, when it doesn't work, will always make it work like that. When you have it oriented right, then you want to do this. DR and push up in an R2. So again, what that looks like is DR, R2, and up here, you want to be, that puts all the centers in one axis, or face, and then you can do U to permute them all, and then undo your first 2 moves, where you do R2, DR prime. So again, you can do, to do your 4 swap. Next case. The next case is notorious for giving you DNFs because you think it's solved, but in reality you have the 2 swap. When you have the 2 swap, you want to hold them in the back, so one on the right, one on the left. When you have this case, you're going to start like you would with our 2-2 swap. R2, B2, DR2. Then you're going to come around to your B2, but instead you're only going to do a B. From here, you want to pull down twice and do an R to permute those centers, undo that double move, and continue with your B move. So again, you're going to start by doing your basic 2-2 swap, but in the middle of your last move, bring it down, permute the centers, and finish it off. Next case, and kind of last case. Next are our last cases, and they are the 2-3 cycles, where you have one side solved, and the rest need to be cycled. So they can either go clockwise or counterclockwise. First, I'm going to show you counterclockwise. What you want to do is reduce this into a 4 swap. So, when you hold your counterclockwise one, you always want to have, well, with either of them, you always want to have your solve side on bottom. Now, you're going to do this, your 4-swap alg, except when it's counterclockwise, you're just going to do your same exact 4-swap alg, and then when you rotate on this tip downward, like this, you'll be oriented to do normal 4-swap alg. So like that. So again, when you have a 3-swap and it's going counterclockwise, hold solve side on bottom, and you can do and that's all you need to do for that case. When you have your U-perm or 3-cycle, except it's going clockwise, you're going to hold it again with solve side on bottom, and you're going to do your 4-swap alg, except this move up here is not going to be a U, it's going to be a U prime. You're going to U prime, and then you can bring it back like that, finishing your 4-swap alg, and from here, you actually want to just bring it down along the left tip again, and it'll be oriented as your normal 4-swap. And you can do your normal 4-swap alg without the U prime that time. So I'm going to go over both those U primes one more time. If your U prime is going clockwise, hold solve side on bottom. Do your 4-swap with a U prime, rotate around along the left tip, and do it with a U. If your U perm is going counterclockwise, hold it on bottom, do your normal 4-swap alg, and then rotate along this side instead, and do your normal 4-swap alg again. That should solve the cube, and that is all the cases you need to know. You now know how to solve the Pyramorphix. That's all for this tutorial. Because it's a simple method, I'm going to keep the tutorial simple. But I am going to have a few more videos with advanced tricks you can do, because this method can be optimized a lot. I am also going to do a bunch of walkthrough solves in different video, because I went through it pretty fast. You're going to need some time to adjust. Good luck solving.